Headlines read, Thurman begs Ennis for a contract. What is the stat line on Keith Thurman? Is it like 2 fights in 5 years or something like that? Is this one time's last stand? At the age of 36, Keith Thurman has seen the light. Keith Thurman wants to take on all comers at 154. It was a couple of years ago when Terrence Crawford offered him a fight, and Keith Thurman said he only fights champions, and he preferred to fight the WBC champion, who at the time was Errol Spence. But now, these days, it seems more and more, especially for PBC fighters, they are starting to migrate to other promotional companies. Vergil Ortiz is with Golden Boy. Jaron Ennis is with Matchroom. But 2 fights in 5 or 6 years, to me, it sounds like Keith Thurman is trying to get his money before it's over. And to be honest with you, I didn't expect Keith Thurman to get back in the ring till another 3 or 4 years. But recently, Keith Thurman did an interview on Mill City Boxing, and let's listen to a little bit what he has to say. I don't own the right to this content. It's for educational purposes only. This is Keith Thurman on Mill City Boxing.
You know, I've heard that before. You know, man's in them Vergil Ortiz. I got called years ago. Phone call. Will you fight Vergil? I said, yeah, why not? You sure, Keith? Why not? What does it matter? If that's how I gotta feed my family, send the contract. A few days later, hey Keith, they say they like to fight. They also said not right now. So just send the contract. I don't know what's going on with Boots not taking good fights. See, I heard the fight against Vergil didn't happen. Heard the fight against Timo didn't happen. Like, that would never happen to Keith Thurman. Send me both of those contracts. I still don't got a contract. Where's my contract? Send me both of them.
That was Keith Thurman asking for all the smoke. And to be honest with you, I know Keith Thurman is kind of cashing out, trying to get the most money he can before he retires. But if you're not going to fight Vergil Ortiz, I would like to see Jaron Ennis against Keith Thurman. In this interview with Mill City Boxing, he heavily criticizes Jaron Ennis. And he says Jaron Ennis turned down fights. And he says you beat Stanionis, who was nobody, was nothing, was unproven. He was just a guy that handed a belt at 147, according to Keith Thurman. And I kind of agree with him. Roman Villa and Stanionis has the same style. They are tailor-made for Ennis. And I think Keith Thurman would give Jaron Ennis a different look, sort of like Karen Dukachan did. That was a difficult fight for Boots, even though he won it. It was a difficult fight for Boots. He didn't look as spectacular as he did against Stanionis or Roman Villa. So I do agree with Keith Thurman. And also, Keith Thurman was drooling at the mouth when he thought about Jaron Ennis' defense. He gets hit too much. And I would say Keith Thurman has more power than a Stanionis or a Dukachan. And you know what they say when a fighter starts to get old? Power is the last to go. With that being said, I would favor Boots in a fight. But at the age of 36, and with Keith Thurman's champion pedigree, he will be Ennis' toughest fight to date. At least I think so. And Keith Thurman did mention he was called a couple of years ago about the Vergil Ortiz fight. And, you know, how he put it, it sounded like he was saying Ortiz ducked him. But I think that was the time that Ortiz was dealing with that weight issue at 147. I think at 154, Vergil Ortiz would stop Keith Thurman because we all know what Keith Thurman's kryptonite is body punching. And Vergil Ortiz is an excellent body puncher. I have more faith in Vergil Ortiz beating Keith Thurman than I do Jaron Ennis, for the simple fact that Vergil Ortiz has faced better opposition. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Keith Thurman calling out Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz, putting the whole 154 weight class on notice? Beezy, I'm gone.